Hello, Assalamu alaikum everyone. So this is Nazia Khan from CEO Club Pakistan, and I'm here with you with another amazing episode of Coffee with CEO, with a CEO who always talks about numbers and digit and talks about profitability. Am I right, Amir?
Yeah.
So please welcome Mr. Amir Zia, who is CEO for LSE Financial Services. That previously was Lahore Stock Exchange. Sahi kaha maine?
Yeah.
So welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
So we want to know about Lahore Stock Exchange, and then later it was converted into this LSE Financial Services.
Yeah.
So let's start with what LSE Financial Services is.
Yeah, before 2015 and 16, there used to be 3 stock exchanges.
Yeah.
One was Islamabad Stock Exchange, Karachi Stock
and then
Exchange,
Lahore
Stock Exchange. But if one script, like for example packages or trade corporation, if it is listed on the 3 stock exchanges, the administrative costs are on the higher side because you have to pay the fees of the 3 stock exchanges. But on the price side, there can be only one price on 3 stock exchanges.
Definitely, we cannot sell one share.
Yeah. Otherwise, arbitrage comes in, which is not possible in the efficient market. So if it has to be the one price in all the stock exchanges, then question arises, why to have 3 stock exchanges for a simple?
Why not to have one?
For the single script. So what then after 2015-16, after Demutualization Act, they shifted all the stock exchange business to Karachi Stock Exchange, and that was renamed as Pakistan Stock Exchange.
Ooh, so now we are having one regulatory body.
We have only one stock exchange, which is called Pakistan Stock Exchange.
And that's in Karachi?
That is in Karachi.
So what happened to the Islamabad and Lahore one?
Yeah. Under NBFC rules and regulation, Islamabad Stock Exchange, that was converted into REIT management company. Okay, real estate management.
So they are only focused on real estate?
Yeah, real estate management. And the Lahore Stock Exchange, that was converted into Investment Financial Services.
Now,
which means primarily an investment bank. When we talk about banking system, basically we have 2 ambits. One comes under State Bank of Pakistan, where you will see the lots of commercial bank, microfinancing bank, CFIs, that comes under umbrella of State Bank of Pakistan. The other is investment banking, that comes under SECP regulations. So if you want to have a banking operation, you can take either of them. Likewise, the parallel, there is also a system of Mudarba. So if you want to have what does bank means? Means we take deposits.
Yes.
Or
give trust.
Some lending.
Yes.
Okay. So Mudarba can do a lending, that also comes under SECP. Investment bank primarily has to do a lending. Lending means it can have multiple forms, like it can have a leasing, it can have a microfinance. Microfinance can be under both umbrella. It can be under State Bank regulation or it can be under SECP. Okay, then it is discounting services or even simple lending to the corporate customer or to the individual, like a car leasing and so on. But what we have done, we realize this is what the investment banking is. The area and the activities which an investment bank can take primarily is defined by the regulations, NBFC regulations.
By SECP?
Yeah, they define it. What activities you can take or what activity you cannot take. When in general literature, when we listen about investment bank, we think investment bank can do underwriting, investment bank can do consultant to the issue, investment bank can do a lending and so on. But on the other hand, when we go into reality, these activities generally investment bank cannot take.
They cannot?
Yeah.
Then what?
Because their licenses are restricted to take these activities. They can do consultant to the, for example, they can do consultant to the issue activities only for debt security, but not for the equity. That is what existing regulations talk about. So these primarily restrict the activities of investment banks. The second disadvantage that we have is because as per regulation, 70% of your assets has to be in lending. But here dilemma comes in. What is that dilemma? if there is no continuous funding system that cheap deposit provides, you cannot do a lending on the based on equity only. But taking deposit on the large scale basis for the investment bank is very daunting task. You cannot compete with the commercial bank, particularly large commercial bank. So you are at disadvantage when you talk about the deposit tax.
So isn't it your hands are tied up?
Yeah, that's I'm explaining how we are then positioning ourselves. Later on I will...
That was in my mind too.
Yeah. So you cannot take deposits, cheap deposits. So it's very difficult. If you cannot take deposits,
so there is no money coming. There is no money coming in. You're lending only, na?
If you have to lend on the basis of your equity, it means after few lending, I have out of my equity.
Yes.
So second.
And the interest amount which the companies are giving back must be very low.
This is another disadvantage, because if I go for example, treasury bill or PIB, I get 15% in a deposit or in a investment.
Lending,
I do that. No, in the investment I do.
Okay.
If I go instead of putting my money into PIBs, if I go for the lending, I will get 18%. It means our differential is only for 3%. But if for the lending, I am taking a risk of 100%.
Yes.
For the 3%, to take this 100% risk is not a viable decision. The third thing is, you don't have a lender of last resort. For example, State Bank acts as a lender of last resort for the commercial bank. But such base we don't have. Being an investment bank arena, we don't have that base. So what we have done with all these restrictions, what we have understood after taking this management of this LSE Financial Services. So what we have think, if you have to be within that ambit, your activities will be restricted and you cannot do much. So what we are doing, we are restructuring LSE Financial Services.
What does that mean?
It means we have primarily 4 types of assets. One is our building.
Done.
Building which we have given on either on the long-term lease or on the short-term rentals. So income comes from that. The second asset we have some strategic investment. Like we own 10% of CDC, 25% of National Clearing and CCPL, 36% of PECRA.
Okay.
Then we have some holding in Pakistan Mercantile Exchange as well. So these are our strategic holdings. But
you're just taking money from them. You're not doing anything with them, no?
But we have the directorship there, because if you have a 36% in PECRA, means you have an influence.
Say as well.
The third asset that we have are the cash and balance we have, that we invest in treasury bills, margin trading system and so on. Third is the license that we have. What we have decided to segregate these assets into 3 companies. One would be LSE PropTech, which will deal property, the building area, so that 100% it will handle. The other will be the holding company that will handle investments, cash and other activities, because we are also going into the venture capital investment. That is underway, that we are taking the license of a venture capital investment and specs as well. The third is a limited scope of investment financial service. The second is, we are thinking to collaborate with some Mudarba, because at the current regulations, we cannot have underwriting activities and consultant to the issue for the equity stock, but Mudarba can do. It means you have to go into collaboration. That if I cannot do one thing, but the Mudarba can do another thing, so that we combine. So on these directions we are working. So that ultimately, when we can do, because our specialization is restructuring.
Number 1.
Yeah. Revival of shell companies, venture capital investment, IPOs. Yeah, and there's a lot of market for the scoop placement and scoop capital marketable scoops that we are targeting. So these are activities we are performing, keeping in view the
limitations which you guys have. But you have you find your way out, and you're trying to, mashallah, to do a lot. But let me ask you about the industry in general. How do other investment banks survive then?
sorry.
You are having so many sister concerns or...
If you pick up the data about investment banks and even financial mudaba, most of them are either in losses or defunct.
Yes.
That is only because of the lending side.
Because of the limitations they have,
cannot have, because the small size we have, we cannot have economies of scale. We cannot afford a good credit assessment department because you have to lend something.
And then
you have to
return is very small.
Yeah, and you have to take some, create charge, and you have to take collateral. But taking a collateral is a very specialized job, requires lots of economies of scale.
And apart competence of individuals too.
Yeah, that's right. The most of in financial investment banks and Mudaba, they went into lending and they failed. With their experience, we have learned, and we are restructuring ourselves that the same mistake we will not do.
Are there any commercial banks who is having this investment bank option too, or they can't do that?
If they can do with the subsidiary, not directly, because they come under State Bank.
State Bank. So the subsidiary will be coming under SCCP if they want to. If they have to be
investment banking is the area of
SCCP. Ooh. बड़ा मुश्किल है आपके लिए.
No, it looks like, but generally it's not.
But generally it's not. Yeah. Is it like that you are very optimistic, or it actually is not very difficult?
It is not difficult because if you understand the market at first place and you know and you are clear what position ultimately you have to take and what niche market you have to be in, so then I don't think so.
So why don't you tell us? Just imagine a very good investment bank doing wonders. So वो कैसा होगा? जब established investment bank जो आप कह रहे हो कि once when the vision is
good question. First of all, we have to understand. Sorry, I have a flu.
It's all right.
Lending is not it's not our forte. It's not our forte of investment bank.
Okay.
So they have to go into many other areas. In Pakistan, there's lots of projects.
But what about the restrictions?
No. This I'm saying. In Pakistan, there are lots of areas where, particularly in Lahore, because if you see the consultancy underwriting, they're all concentrated in Karachi. When we talk about Lahore, you have very few names, or there is no one. Then there is a lot of scope available in restructuring, venture capital investment, revival of shell companies, in the tax structure finance, how to be a tax efficient. And there is a very much possibility of having these strategic investment. We are targeting to increase our shareholding in strategic assets like Pakistan Mercantile Exchange. Because what we have learned from our experience that in the previously here in large stock exchange or LSE Financial Services or anywhere else, when there is a lack of entrepreneurial appetite, because if shareholding is spread to many brokers or to many investors, and there is no one businessman who is looking
who can lead,
who has a vision, who can take
them to the next level.
These semi-official governmental institutions have these lackness of enterprise that we want to rectify.
So thank you for showing us the bright side of an investment bank. Any ideal investment bank in Pakistan or across the globe which you idealize? Wow, see, they had the hardships before and now they are doing wonderful, or they are performing brilliant.
Position overseas is very difficult because they are very much clear. For example, just I explained you, underwriting, consultancy.
That all is the part of their job.
It is a part of investment
banking.
And they don't have this sort of restriction that have to place 70% of their assets into lending.
So they are not that tied up.
Though they have much room to play with. For us, we have to restructure to be in the same position. And unfortunately, in Pakistan, these investment banks did not position well, and they don't realize what actually activity they have done.
Is there any single or 2 or 3 successful stories of investment bank in Pakistan?
No.
Yes, that was because, okay, all right. But let's be very positive, and you have told us there is a lot of opportunity there, and now you guys are restructuring too. But now do tell me, what is NBFC? For a layman, what is NBFC? You are under NBFC to help.
It's one bank.
Okay.
Bank means which comes under State Bank.
Okay.
One is a non-banking financial companies. Means who act like a bank, which is not a bank, that comes under
State Bank.
That's why it's called non-banking.
Because it's not under State Bank, so that's why it's not a bank. Non-banking financial.
But they can have a deposit.
Okay.
Or they can. So,
you guys comes under NBFC. NBFC. Okay. What other things do comes under NBFC?
And under NBFC regulation, it comes like asset management services. Like have you ever bought that mutual fund, closed-ended fund, open-ended fund, asset management. Then come discounting services, leasing, investment financial services. Then come microfinance, when you can do a microfinance. Then venture capital fund management services, venture capital investment strategy. So there's a certain activity which is defined under NBFC rules.
So there is a lot under the umbrella of NBFC too.
NBFC.
I was expecting statement se aleda to kam thoda hoga.
Lekin the problem is, you must understand that it's a continuous funding system that we don't have. Because in the lending business, you have to indulge into that. Then you need a cheap financing from somewhere so that you can lend. If you are not having, access to the cheap financing with current account, the investment bank cannot keep current accounts. They can issue a certificate of investment at least for the 3 months. And it has to be interest bearing.
So NBFC reports to what? Or it's an independent body, it's the SCCP.
SCCP has a specialized division that handles NBFC.
So now where do you see your LSE Financial Services 5 years down the road?
We are targeting to be, we see ourselves into multiple. As I explained you, we want to increase our strategic holding into our various strategic assets like Pakistan market. Then we have very good holding in Pakra. Then very good holding in CDC.
That's what you have explained before.
Then we are targeting to be a number one and to be a best service provider in restructuring, financial fundraising,
shell companies,
revival, tax management, and so on. That we are targeting ultimately are to be because in Pakistan, particularly in Lahore, such services are absent.
They're not there.
They are not available.
But they are there in Karachi, but not here. So people have to go.
Not even in Karachi. Revival or shell companies not available. They are doing underwriting and consultant providing. But the rest of activities are either very bleak or non-existent.
So, Amir, it's always difficult to start up something and then to sustain it for a while. फिर उसके बाद तो फिर there are lots of claps around ना. So right now might be this LSE is in a difficult phase. Not in a difficult phase. Okay.
Because with these activities you don't need much financial financing. You don't require. What you need is a consistent, a good human resource that we are building up.
Okay.
Number one. The second, which is important, is we are also targeting. We firmly believe in stock market. So in the next 2 to 3 years, we are targeting to place our LSE Financial Services on the stock exchanges. Listed.
Amir, where this passion comes from? You are so much about your company. I regularly do these Coffee with CEO sessions, or I meet so many people. But the passion inside you of talking about your company, of this will be doing wonders. This is kahan se aaya hai?
I have a very good experience with the Tree Group of companies. There, lot of delegation has been given to us. With this delegation, we used to do a lot of things. We have initiated many projects there, and we have issued in Trade Corporation Pakistan first participation term certificate. That was a very tax efficient instrument. From there, I gained a lot of experience. Second, financial management is my passion.
Yeah. Since the beginning?
Since the beginning.
Acha. Yeah. So, this is a bit irrelevant.
By profession, I am chartered management accountant from UK.
From?
UK.
Oh, ACCA?
SEMA.
SEMA. Oh, okay, all right. Acha, so my next question is, investment banker is a very wow term. There are lots of movies where the hero is an investment banker. There's lots of novels. And when this things comes up... No, I'm talking generally. So isn't it like, why is it so that the job is like wow across the globe?
Maybe in the West it is. But in Pakistan, it is not like that.
But it will be sooner, inshallah.
Yeah, it will be. It will be. We are targeting that. We are targeting that being an investment banker would be your pride. Yeah.
But why it's so hi-fi across the globe?
Because I told you that they don't have so many restrictions that we have here. In investment bank, they are actually investment bank. They are very proactive in designing a various tax-efficient product. Then they are also designing options, futures. They are involved in so many things. Here in Pakistan, we have very limited resources, human resources. Then lack of vision. Then regulatory framework that restricts us. For example, if we remain within a regulatory framework per se, so we would have been doing nothing. It means we are getting out of our regulatory framework so that we can do multiple things.
So Amir, you meet lots of people, lots of wow entrepreneurs during your course of business because of shell company thing, lending or investment banking, whatever. So how is the financial competence of our entrepreneurs? Do they understand the frameworks and stuff well? Or you guys have to work a lot, very hard on them?
A good question. They understand finance, they understand everything, but they are not organized. You must understand this one. Now, one approach is to work with the structured way. The second is to do with the guesstimates and so. Because they are doing a business. They are trained in business.
They understand numbers. They understand the profitability.
But they don't understand
the procedure.
The organization side.
Or the organization of
The second businessman is the businessman. They are trained in business. They are good in fund production. They are good in marketing. Yes, the structured finance they lack. And the CFO or the company secretary or the accounting staff they hire, they don't give them a due delegation.
Ooh. So it's more about the competence of the hired staff.
Yeah. That's why the competency level or the level of motivation or level of doing something is very less in the Pakistani organization.
So do you offer some sort of consultancy for those entrepreneurs
too? Targeting. Ultimately, there is a very good, there is a market. We see the slack. So what we are targeting after 3 to 5 years, we will go into a specialized university offering professional financial management qualification. That is the area that we...
But again, it will be a lengthy course. People will be reluctant to attend.
No. We have designed a very structured, a professional qualification that we are targeting to impart within 2 to 3 years.
2 to 3
years. University maybe will come into that.
Oh, okay. So now, Amir, tell us what do you think about leadership? Now you are heading a very good...
I believe leadership comes from the delegation. If you trust, if you don't delegate, you are not a leader. If you delegate, it means you're trusting, you are improving your, the followers or your subordinates.
Team.
Team. Being a leader, you have to give them a strategic direction and to trust them and to give them a direction.
Okay. So what do you think, Amir, are the 3 qualities a CEO must have?
One is the vision, the foremost vision. Strategic
You always talk about vision, no?
Strategic direction. कि मेरे को इधर जाना है 5 साल. This is the must. Second, you not take too much risk. Because if you are going into a business field, then don't take a financial risk as well. अगर दोनों risk we take at the same time or something goes wrong, फिर बहुत मार पड़ती है. So second thing, you have to be a risk. You cannot take both risks, financial risk and the business. If you take a business risk,
then hold the financial. If you're taking financial, then hold the business one.
You don't take ever the both risks.
So many risks, no?
Yeah. The third thing is, which is very important, trust your employees and motivate them. So what you do is, ultimately, we are also planning to have employee stock option plan for employees and also to have incentive schemes to keep them motivated.
Keep them motivated.
So to keep them motivated is your priorities.
One tip one or two tips, financial tips you would like to give to entrepreneurs?
They should be, honestly speaking, whenever I go to them, they should trust capital market.
But what if they are
Pakistani entrepreneur, they don't trust capital market. But we try to teach them three things, because there is lots of fear of unknowns.
Fear of unknown.
Because we tell them, if you have 100 rupees, you are carrying one business with 100 rupees. With the capital market, with the same 100 rupees, you can carry on 2 or 3 businesses. So capital market is really a catalyst to your business growth. They have to trust that. Second, sharing with the general public is not a bad idea. They will not go into hostile takeover. If even one director comes from the outside, they will take a coffee and nothing else. And even he will give some valuable input. So in so what we try to make them understand, trust on the capital. But unfortunately, because our trust comes from two sources. Number one, the performance of the capital market is the culture that we have. Unfortunately, culture that we are not having that. The second is the tax structure. If tax structure is not conducive to the capital market, people not come. Why? Because many persons they ask me, businessmen, why should we come? What advantage we are going to have apart from raising funds? What other advantage? In Pakistan, unfortunately, taxation does not favor primarily to come into capital markets.
Okay, so I am so indulged in the conversation. So let's come to some personal questions from you now. So how do you handle the stress? You're into capital market, investment banking, shell companies, lending, so much pressure, so many people.
No pressure at all. If you have a good staff, a trained staff, and you give them a proper delegation, then you don't need to take any stress.
Pakki baat.
Yeah.
So is it like now or you are like this since the beginning?
Yeah.
तो फिर क्या ऐसा है कि
And second, you must have a good IT resource. If you have a good ERP system in place, so बहुत सारे काम तो आपके
automatic है ना?
ERP कर रहा होगा, ठीक है? So you must have a good ERP resource.
So what about this work-life balance thing? Do you maintain a good work-life balance?
Yeah, I do that. Yeah, I have 2 kids.
So much peace is not acceptable to me. You're sitting in such a okay, but सब कुछ बहुत सब अच्छा है. Okay, so what is happiness? So what is success to you first?
Success, comes with the achievement. Step by step achievement comes with that.
आ जाती है. कैसे आती है?
When you are clear about your objective, don't go for very high objectives. Objective has to be in tandem and step by step. You get that, अगर मैं, for example, यहाँ तक रखूँगा my objective and I achieve that. यहाँ पे एकदम रख दूँगा, I will not achieve that. यहाँ पे रखूँगा, फिर अगला यहाँ करूँगा.
It will be very easy for you.
It's a step by step approach, and ultimately I understand one thing with my experience. Life is one.
अच्छा.
And you have 10 to 12 hours of working.
And the rest are for you.
And rest of it, yeah.
अरे वाह.
10 hours में ना आपने खुद stress, you have to be in stress, और ना ही आपने अपने subordinates को stress देना. हमको stress लेने थोड़ी आते हैं.
Oh wow, you sound like such a good boss.
हाँ, ऐसा ही है. I don't give any stress to my subordinates.
What is happiness to Amir Zia?
My kids. Yeah.
Other than that?
Other than that, I don't have very much big ambitions or high level of wealth. I don't have this ambition. So that's why.
You just want to have a happy life.
That keeps me a contented person. If I have a Ferrari, I have this one, that makes you discomfort.
So now you tell me how to control your anger. Do you get angry, by the way?
If you say in a 365 days, 1 or 2 times.
अच्छा, फिर किसी को कोई मुका शुका ना कुछ ऐसा चक्कर नहीं है.
Anger भी सिर्फ 2 मिनट के लिए. That's it.
Then you hold it back. Any regrets in life, Amir?
Regrets? No. Yeah.
2 wish lists, the 2 things that is.
Because I didn't keep my wish list very long.
अच्छा.
Yeah, that's why. That's fine. I don't have anything.
2 things you want to do now. कोई चीजें ऐसी दो जो आप करना चाहते हैं.
Then I have already told them the business. We want to be a number 1 investment.
Number
Second,
1.
Number 1 university that we are going to have. In the financial life.
Your favorite food?
Any food. I can eat anything. Korean food, Chinese food, any food.
Oh wow.
Japanese food.
तो पाकिस्तानी का नाम नहीं आया?
पाकिस्तान में स्पाइसेस ज्यादा होते हैं. I don't.
अच्छा, so you don't like that.
I'm more inclined towards Korean food and Chinese.
2 hobbies of Amir Zia.
I used to play a cricket a lot. Now Scrabble.
Now?
Scrabble.
Oh, really? So,
Yeah,
my father and me, we do play Scrabble a lot. Okay, so, Amir, your message of hope and optimism for youth.
3 things are very important in life. Number 1, be consistent. Be consistent and passionate, and don't be over ambitious. Over ambitious kills you ultimately. The third thing, very important, is education is only a primary factor in the success, but it's not the ultimate. When you go with youth, our problem is when we go for some professional degree or qualification, we think it will give us ultimate success, and it does not happen. Then you become frustrated. So my very strong message is, education is just a small part. There are many other parts. Well, for example, you have to do a lot of traveling. When you mix with the other society, you understand how they think and what they think about you, and then what you think about them.
And why, if they're successful, then why they're successful. If they're not successful, why they're not.
Second, keep your company good. The society, if you are not, so what I'm trying to portray is, on the basis of education, you will not get the success. Success comes with many other factors. So you have to sharpen your nails on these factors as well.
Thank you so much, Amir. It was a treat to have you in this session, and I wish कि हमारे बहुत सारे और लोगों में same dedication and passion आए, और I wish good luck to LSE Financial Services too. And by being you there, I am sure that you will be achieving all whatever you have in your wish list. No? So thank you so much for watching this episode. और अगर आपके पास कोई ऐसी सक्सेस स्टोरी है तो प्लीज हमसे राब्ता कीजिए. Thank you so much.
Thank you.